Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go a little bit wider if possible, just so that you guys can see everything that you need to see. Just give me 1 second. Tell me at what point you can see until. We're at Mia Masay and Brachos. Okay. Is that better, guys? You can see up until the word, until the light of dawn rises. Is that correct?
See a little bit more than that.
Yeah, the Mishna recounts it, but you can't read
Yeah.
past the point. I'm saying you
Oh,
can
yeah.
read at the point until the light of dawn rises, because I want the screen to be bigger. How many of you are using your phones versus the actual computer?
Me. I'm using my phone.
Okay, so that's why I'm doing it as big. All right, so let's get started, guys. So, by the way, I generally we generally do dedications on the Mishnah for those that have passed. And what I wanted to do is obviously I wanted to do an exception in this particular case. I wanted to thank somebody that, thank God, is alive and well, because basically when I was 30, I'm 52 now. When I was 30, my dad gave me for my 30th birthday a set of Gemara Brochas. Now, my dad isn't religious, but he basically gave me one of the best 30-year birthday presents ever, because it just builds up in the next world. So I just wanted to thank my dad, and please God, in the merit of learning Gemara Brochas, may recover from his back operation and have full strength and vigor and live to 120. I know, Kevin, thank God, both your parents, please God, are alive and well, but obviously many of us have some people don't have any parents and some have one left. So I hope this is a bracha for all of our living parents to continue with their good health. Okay, let's get started.
Amen.
Amen. So, chapter 1. There's a biblical obligation to recite the Shema twice daily, once when we lie down at night and once when we arise in the morning, as the verse states, of Shachbacha uvkumecha, when you lie down and when you arise. And that's in Devarim chapter 6, verse 7. So this obligation is not tied, however, to the moment when an individual goes to sleep or gets up. Rather, it relates to the time when it is customary for people to engage in these activities, whether the individual in question does so or not. The following Mishnah delineates the time period in which evening Shema may be said. From where may we fulfill the obligation to recite the Shema blessing in the evenings? From the time that Kohanim who are Tameh may enter to eat their terumah at nightfall, and one may recite the Shema until the end of the first watch. These are the words of Rav Eliezer, but the sages say it may be recited until midnight. Rabban Gamliel says it may be recited until the dawn of light rises. Now we're going to go through all the commentaries. I just want to finish the Mishnah. So the Mishnah recounts an incident. It once happened that Rabban Gamliel's sons came home after midnight from a banquet, and they said to Rabban Gamliel, "We have not yet recited the Shema. May we recite it now?" And he said to them, "If the light of dawn has not yet risen, you are obligated to recite the Shema." And it is not only in this case that the sages said until midnight, when according to biblical law, the time actually extends until dawn. Rather, whatever mitzvah the sages said may be performed only until midnight, the time of the mitzvah actually extends until the light of dawn rises. In the case of the burning of the sacrificial fats and limbs, the time of the mitzvah extends until the light of dawn rises. And all those sacrifices that may be eaten for only one day, the time of the mitzvah actually extends until the light of dawn rises. If so, why did the sages say regarding these mitzvot that they may be performed only until midnight? In order to distance a person from sin. Okay, pretty straightforward so far. What I'm going to do is just obviously go through a few details with you. So, what we're going to cover here is there's two major parts. The first part of this particular section is when is the latest time for saying the Shema, and what's also discussed is when is the earliest time to say Shema, and the difference between the various opinions. Now, it obviously pertains specifically to the first two passages, not the third. Why? Because if you look at the third passage, it derives from a different verse. Um, and that will be discussed in the 12th Mishnah, because the times for recital depend simply on night and day, and not on the times of lying down and arousing. That's as far as the third that's as far as the third portion is concerned. Now, I want to ask Arthur a question, because generally we're lucky enough to have two Kohanim in the Shirim, one Levi and two Yisrael. Arthur, do you know what the Teruma is?
Yeah. Hello. I can't hear you. Hang
Arthur,
on.
can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now. What happened? Okay, carry on, yeah. So I know what the Teruma, what?
Do you know what the Teruma is?
Nope.
Okay. Dory, as a Kohen, do you want to explain it, or do you want me to? I'm happy if you answer, Arthur, because Arthur's got more of a secular background, but he's very, very bright. It's just something of the Kohanim we haven't really gone through. We've gone more through civil cases
Mm.
and corporal punishment.
I'll leave it to you, Damon. I need to brush
Okay,
up.
are you talking about the Teruma as in it's not the bugs, no, sorry. That's too much. Sorry, my mistake.
No,
All
no,
right.
no, Arthur,
My
it's
mistake.
actually
Sorry.
a good thing, because this is exactly why a couple of people, if you have a look, we've got 18 subscribers. Not everybody follows us live. And one of the subscribers actually messaged me and said to me, the reason why he listens to my shirim is he doesn't know any Aramaic. And basically, he doesn't know the difference between Tuma and Truma and all things that sound similar. And we often use the English Roman word for the biblical passages as well as the Hebrew, because not everybody is well
Yeah.
versed in Hebrew. So I'm happy. Most of the shirim on Daf Org, etc., half Aramaic, half English, and it is distracting. Nothing wrong. It's just Art Scroll Schottenstein is my wheelchair, and I'm a cripple, and I'm entering the Special Olympics. So Arthur, that's what it is. So in a nutshell, Teruma is different to Tuma. So it is actually relevant here, because Teruma is the portion of the crop of Eretz Yisrael that must be given to a Kohen. You've got Misa, you've got different portions. Some must be given to the poor, some is your tenth, which is your Misa, but the Teruma portion is a portion of crop. It's not sacrifices for the Kohen.
Okay.
So that portion of the crop of Eretz Yisrael that must be given to a Kohen, a Kohen cannot eat teruma when he's in a state of tuma. Now that should make it clear. What's tuma, Arthur?
Oh God. Oh, you said it a moment ago. It's to do with the no the crop, no, not the crop.
Dory, you
I don't know,
can
but
come
my
in
mind.
here.
It's a state of impurity.
Correct. So
Oh,
Arthur,
so it's like tuma. It's like tuma.
tuma is a spiritual impurity, exactly. So you can only partake as a Kohen from the teruma, that portion of the crop, when you're in a state of tahor, which means purity. So a Kohen who becomes tamei is forbidden to eat teruma until he immerses himself in a mikvah on the designated day, and then he has to await nightfall. These are one of the halachas, and it's in your Vamos 74
Okay.
for those that want to know. Okay, I'm not
Okay.
expert, but that's where it is. Okay, now if you have a look and you continue, it's what you're also seeing here is it's talking about a general pattern. So there are three opinions. That first opinion is Rav Eliezer, who said that the Shema may be said until the end of the first watch. That's the conclusion time. So how does a watch work? Is that it's a 12-hour period, guys, and they're three night watches, and they're spiritual forces, and each one of them has got their own unique perspective, both in the spiritual world and in the physical world. And we're going to learn as we go on the ensuing dafs, there are physical indications of that time period, but it's actually a sourcing in terms of a spiritual energy that manifests in the world. So Rav Eliezer says the latest time to say Shema is actually in the first watch. So that would begin, obviously, that would only technically be, guys, 4 hours, because there are three watches. So it would be, for example, if the sun would set, it would be, for example, from 6 to 10, just saying in a season where it's pertinent. The sages say it may be recited until midnight. So the discrepancy, for example, between Rav Eliezer and the sages, especially in winter, is far greater than in the summer months. Do you get that? They actually get closer together as you get into summer. And as there's winter, Rav Eliezer's ending time is far earlier. Now, Rabban Gamliel says it may be recited until the light of dawn arises. And there are two different opinions. The one opinion says, well, he holds by that. But if you look at it in context with Rabban Gamliel, it's not his preferred position, because they're both of the opinion that they want to avoid somebody making spiritual mistakes and leaving things till the last minute. So in that particular case, this was only an answer to his sons that went to a wedding banquet, and the definition in the Gemara of a banquet is when they plied with alcohol. So the last thing you want them to do is lie down for 10 minutes. So he said, listen, if you haven't said it, you can say it until the light of dawn has not yet risen. But it doesn't mean it's the most ideal position, even according to Rabban Gamliel. It's what you call your worst case scenario position. And even Rabban Gamliel is not contradicting the sages. The sages are just a little bit more strict. And we're going to find out why in terms of sacrifices, because the positioning there has got a far more detrimental, what do you call it? A far more detrimental outcome, as opposed to if you somehow forget to do the positive mitzvah of the Shema. Okay, so if you have a look, what's this word b'shach b'cha? It means when you lie down. So it teaches that the earliest time one may recite the evening Shema is when people go to sleep. So accordingly, you can't fulfill the evening obligation before the stars come out, because that's not the time yet for sleeping. Now, there's something interesting to know, that when you're talking about Rabbi Eliezer, you're saying that's the time when people go to sleep. It's the earliest time. And not all people, by the way. People certainly at the lower end of the financial spectrum that have got an early day, not lazy cats like me that do not sleep very well. And the default position is that you're taking a position not of that individual and that individual sleeping patterns, but at the people's behavior at large. So what would happen in that particular case is we're going on the verse, if you say in the Shema, b'shach b'cha, because we say when you lie down and when you arise. So when you lie down is not when it's not. It's the point at which you're going down to sleep. So that's when people go down. According to the sages, it's when people are asleep, not when they're going to sleep. That's why they get until midnight. Okay? And Rabban Gamliel is basically saying it's the time when people are still asleep. So can you see the three differences? The one is when, according to Rav Eliezer, when people go to sleep.
I mean, sure, yes.
According to the sages, is when people are asleep. And according to Rabban Gamliel, it's when people are still asleep, but it's not the optimum sleep. Okay, so I'm sure you guys have got a question. What happens at shul, guys? Let's not even look at a traditional shul, even if you, because often traditional shuls have got a mixture of people. They have people that are shomra and people that are traditional, and they drive to Sydenham or Waverley shul and they drive back. And Shabbos is very cool for the bracha, and then they go and play golf in the afternoon. It's not a criticism; it's their particular lifestyle choice. But have you ever noticed if you daven in Usamach in summer in South Africa, which is a shul that holds by Shabbat, what time, well, when do they do, on a Friday, for example, or when do they do Shema? Guys, is it dark? Are the three stars out?
No.
When is it? Feedback. Oh, by the way, Lance, I never asked you because Chofetz Chaim is different. Rabbi Goldschmidt holds by everything exactly. But generally, shuls are community-based shuls. So what's that about? I mean, guys, it's a reasonable question, isn't it? Is anybody there? I feel like I'm having a say on. I can't see you because
Damon,
I'm sharing
I
this.
wouldn't know because I've been, Damon, I
Yeah,
wouldn't know because I've been in South Africa for 22 years. So,
that's true.
so,
I'm gonna ask people that go to like a normal, like Dory's the only one at the shul that's in South Africa, and Lance is at a shul where they keep everything to the T. What happens then, Dory? What's your suggestion? Why do we do it? It's not the time.
Yeah, I did learn it once. I just can't remember.
Okay. Anybody have a
Yeah.
thought? I'm happy to share you Rashi's opinion, but I wanted you to just give me a thought.
minhag, like a tradition.
Yeah, minhag generally can't supersede halacha, though. So,
Okay.
so
Yeah, just checking.
no, it's a good one. Listen, you never hit balls unless you try and whack the bat. So it's a
Oh,
very, very yeah.
Right
a
one.
lot of people will say Shema later, won't they? They'll say Shema when they get home.
So Dory's 100% correct. You do say Shema when you come home, but the reason why people do it in the Mariv prayers in the synagogue, in the shul, whichever country you're in and whatever word they use, even at an
I
Orthodox,
think I know why.
yeah.
I think I know why. In case you forget.
No, well, the problem is, Arthur, you can't because if it's not the time to do it,
Okay.
no,
Okay,
no,
I'm just checking.
I know what you're saying. It's better to do it than nothing. But the point of it is, you can't say
Yeah.
you can't say something that it's not the relevant time to do it. I mean, we'd love to do one or two things so we don't forget, but it has to be time appropriate. So there's a very simple reason for the custom, and you're right, Arthur. It is a bit of a minhag, and that is that according to
Convenience.
what?
It's just convenience because they want to do Mincha and Mariv back to back. So they do Mariv early, they do the Shema at the wrong time, and then people know they must repeat it when they get home.
Okay, but the thing of it is, firstly, we can't use a traditional synagogue as your base point because people don't keep it, and the reality is, it's not the convenience because there's another issue at play here, and there's two issues at play. And I just want to go through this. Then I know Kevin has to go and teach. Is that in the Gemara Yerushalmi, Rashi said that if you look at the Shmone Esrei, it is it's you have to read a Torah passage prior to that. Always. So therefore, the Torah passage that's most appropriate anyway, it's a bit of what Lance is saying, it's a convenience, but it doesn't remove your obligation from reading it later. However, it allows you to be able to do the Shema in the the Shmone Esrei, the Amidah in the Minyan. So it is the convenience of reading a Torah passage that's most appropriate in case people, I suppose, don't get an opportunity. Then, although they don't fulfill the rabbinic qualification, they at least fulfill some sort of biblical obligation on some level. So this is where the argument comes out, is they basically say that if you have a look, there's this concept of plaga mincha. And plaga mincha is I thought plug a mincha meant when I was younger that you just plug in mincha and then you're ready to go. You know what I mean? Like plug and play, plug and pray, because it never worked when I worked on my computers. But whatever, is that plug a mincha um, according to the Ramban, Maimonides, it occurs 72 minutes before sunrise. So it's basically it's about there's a dispute whether it's the first rays of dawn that appear on the eastern horizon or what's or how it works, and that affects the whole day. But basically, according to Rashi, he said it's 90 minutes before Mariv. That's when it is, and other opinions say it's 72 minutes before. So it depends, this plug and mincha sort of concept. But the bottom line of it is that in many, many cases, you can only do it at a certain period of time. But the bottom line is, just to keep it simple, is that according to many opinions, you only have to repeat the first verse of the Shema. That's the biblical obligation once night passes off. So you can discharge that obligation because anyway, there's a bedtime Shema before you're going to sleep. That's according to Rashi. Tosfot challenges Rashi's view on a number of grounds. He's not happy. He said, look, you have to do the two prayers that follow in the Shema because they follow within the same passages, whereas the portion that's not in Deuteronomy, but in Exodus, the third portion is not as strict about. Rabbeinu Tam basically says that, you actually have to do all three verses. And in fact, if you look at the Shulchan Aruch, it says that you should, on page 235 in the Orach HaChaim, that you should do all three sections, by the way. It's in the Mishnah Brura as well in the same section. So, so that's what we have to bear in mind. It's just a biblical verse to do in order to be within the minyan for the Shmoneh Esrei. Okay, so once we've done that, we let me just see what else we need to cover. That can wait until tomorrow. Give me 1 sec. Sorry, guys. I just want to clear the Mishnah off today. So, I don't know if you see that next part of the Mishnah about animal sacrifices. Can you see that? Or do you want me to just bring it up a little bit? Yeah. And it's not only in this case that the sages said until midnight, when the mitzvah, according to biblical law, the time actually extends to dawn. So any mitzvah that the sages implement that says you've got only until midnight, the time of the mitzvah actually extends until the light of dawn arises. We're going to go through what that definition means, but it's bringing in primarily a case of burning of the sacrificial fats and limbs. And the time extends until the light of dawn arises. And you basically can only eat it for 1 day. Not all sacrifices, we'll go through which ones. And what that means is that on that day you put it on the altar, but it doesn't all immediately burn. Because some of the harder fats can burn throughout the night. And we say, why am I hearing my own voice in the thing, guys? Oh, that's a hell of a distraction. Yeah. Guys, can you hear me? Am I on speakerphone on one of your devices? That's what I'm hearing. Guys? Okay. All right. So, guys, I'm hearing my own voice. Kev, is it you?
Not from me, because I got you on mute.
Yeah, let me try now. Sorry, it's not picking on Kevin. It's just hearing my own voice. All right. So what happens is it's bringing a correlation between the saying of the Shema. Anything that gives this definition of until midnight, you can actually do until dawn. So including animal sacrifices. So just to bottom line, guys, certain parts of every animal sacrifice are burnt on the altar. It consists primarily of the harder fats, which is the chaylev, and that's in Leviticus, Vayikra chapter 3, verse 3 and 4. In the case of an olah, which is a burnt offering, the entire animal is burnt on the altar. Now, although sacrificial offerings can only be made by day, their fats as well as the limbs can be burnt on the altar during the night that follows the offering, because it's not just all goes up in smoke until the dawn of the next day. And at that point, they become disqualified. And how do you know that? There's a prototypical verse in Shmot in Exodus chapter 34, verse 25. And it said, and it shall not be left overnight until morning. And that basically explains the parameters. So it seems from the Mishnah's listing of this law that although under biblical law the fats and limbs may be burnt on the altar until all night, there's a rabbinical prohibition that they have to be burnt before midnight. Okay? And you look at it and it doesn't say this anywhere in the Talmud. Even if you look in Megillah in 20b, It says the whole night is valid for reaping of the Omer and for the burning of the sacrificial fats and limbs. So if we're seeing something contrary in another Gemara, we say, how do we know this? So it's only demonstrating, according to this, that biblically speaking, it may be performed until dawn, but the sage is limited to midnight. Now, what's the reason? Is because firstly, it becomes invalid by the morning, but more than that, there's a problem. It becomes a kares issue, that if you have the leftovers, the notar, it's forbidden under penalty of kares. So if you don't say Shema, you're not going to get spiritual excision from the Jewish people. You're just going to miss the opportunity. But as far as sacrificial meat, it goes from being a mitzvah to being an avera to the equivalent on eating on Yom Kippur and eating chometz. And how do we know this? There's a prototypical case in Leviticus chapter 7, verse 15, that it says, according to the Todah, which is a offering of thanks, you shall not leave any of it until morning. So this rule of one-day offerings is that you've got the day and then you've got the night until you burn it, and you have to consume it during that period of time. And the rabbis were concerned that if people were allowed to eat the meat of sacrifices, it's not worth the punishment of kares. So they actually banned anything after midnight. And although you can by Shema, even on a biblical level, it's not even rabbinic, you can say it until dawn, you don't want to have the opportunity loss. Okay? And where's that in Orach Chaim? And on page 235, that's where the halach is. Just one thing to bear in mind. If you look at the meat of most sacrifices that's eaten, who eats it? It's either the Kohanim or the one who brought the sacrifice, depending on the sacrifice, because there are sin offerings, which is the chatas, the asham, guilt offerings. We learned this in Bava Kama for lying. The meat may be eaten only for one day, and the night, which is that follows the day. And you've got a peace offering, which is an exception, which is 2 days. But if you look in the Gemara in Zavachim 53, 54, and 55, you can eat them until dawn, but it's just not generally a good idea. So anything that makes midnight, they kind of cap it off there, the sages, until you have an incident like with Rabban Gamliel's sons, that they could choose to say it or not say it. So I think before we discuss all of the things of the Gemara, it's pretty straightforward. We still have to discuss what this light of dawn means, as to what point it's no longer valid, or at what point sacrificial offerings become null and void and kares penalty. And what does sunset mean? There are different definitions. There's definitions, for example, on Shkia, on weekdays, etc. So, guys, I don't want to go through anything more than the Mishnah. Did this add a bit of clarity to you? Well, I'm sure you all knew it, but did it help a bit before we go straight into the Gemara? We're cutting it early too.
Very good. Very good background.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's good.
Okay.
And James,
Yeah.
wouldn't it be how to tell if it's sunset or what's name is when you can't tell the two colors? Like let's
That's
say
true. That's
white
true.
and blue. When you can't, when you
That's true. When we learned about Tzitzit and the point of dawn, it's only when you can just discern the coloring, and at which it's no
Distinguish.
obligated
Yeah.
to let Tzitzit on a biblical level. It's the same. You're right. It's the discernment of light versus dark, and what is clarity versus obscurity. Oh, that's pretty good, man. I missed all you guys. I'm sure I wanted to keep this simple so Gavin could catch up. And you know most of this already. I just thought a bit of a recap, because my brain's not what it was. And I thought, hey, I learned Gemara Berachos 20 years ago. And I thought, okay, let me learn the daf and memorize it. And it was good. It was a nice journey, guys. Okay, it's going to get very complicated, but right now it's easy. Have a wonderful evening.
Thanks. Okay, ciao, buddy.
See you tomorrow.
Okay.
Scarf, Damon.
Cheers, guys.
Thanks, Simon. Thank you.
Yes.
Thanks so much.